the Ambazonia, pledge our loyalty. Praises to our Savior who granted us the freedom. Allegiance to the hero who fought the lonely gather. Glory to glory, we rise and never to fall. Here in a nation, flowing with earth and holy. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our need. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation.
Here partly to talk about Ambazonia, the Anglophone part of Cameroon, and he's going to dial someone in soon, I think, for by the name of, and I'll mispronounce his name, but I'm making a good faith effort, Njoh Litumbe.
Yes.
So we're hoping he's going to come up on the line and we'll put oh, there he is.
Let me see if he...
And he can talk about this.
Well, Jonathan,
how's the phone going? There we go. Dill. Cell phones are a wonderful, terrible invention.
You know what? This is Citylive show in Lowell, Massachusetts, USA. You are live, and I would allow the viewers. There's so much noise in the background, please. That's a woman.
Yeah. Hello? Can you introduce yourself a little bit, Mr. Litumbe? Tell us who you are. Dialogue. What do you see as the relationship between the two Cameroons, the French-speaking Cameroon and the English-speaking Cameroon, Southern Cameroon?
People of Southern Cameroon were to be granted independence as from 1st of October 1961. But by that time, there had been forced to merge with the people of the Republic of Cameroon, who had a completely different culture. And that was the necessity of bringing to light that no, you cannot do that, because if you as a free country of the Republic, if you were going to join another territory, the Holy Bible of the world says that you have got to reduce into writing the different ways in which matters will be organized. And both of you sign them before you start living together. No such thing exists. France just moved in because they are more populous, about 80% of the people in Cameroon, and have been trying to force Southern Cameroonians to accept their own system of justice, law, education, foreign relations, and the way of life as if they were one country. Whereas the United Nations has laid down definite rules as to how this arrangement should be done. It is the friction caused by the non-observance of the prescriptions of joining by the United Nations which has caused the trouble in Cameroon today. And it is my hope that instead of French Cameroon, which gained its independence on 1st of January 1960, imposing its way of public administration, justice, and education on the people of Southern Cameroon, they could still live together by following the prescriptions of how that thing could be done amicably without any stresses. So until the regulations of the United Nations, which is the governing authority in the world, are also respected by the Republic of Cameroon, this trouble will see no end. And my appeal to the United Nations is that a lot of the foreign countries, over the period that there has been this friction, a lot of people have been killed. And it doesn't make sense at all that people who were to be led to independence on their own were being massacred like wild beasts in the forest. And so I would strongly urge that La Republic of Cameroon, if it wishes to join with Southern Cameroon, they should do so in accordance with the prescriptions laid down by the United Nations. Otherwise, they should go their separate ways. And that is my philosophy.
Tell me, sir, Fru has been telling me that there's really three groups involved here. There's the people down on the ground who are suffering murder sometimes, at least indignities from the army. There's the diaspora of Southern Cameroon, the people living overseas. And then finally there are Southern Cameroon legislators still serving in the government. How do you see those three groups interacting?
I would say take courage that you are on the side of the rule of law. The whole world would be in chaos if it were not that there are principles of law governing the actions of these nations. And for the case under review of Southern Cameroon, it had a United Nations General Assembly resolution granting it independence as from 1st of October 1960. So what we have today is a contest between two nations accredited by the United Nations, which is the highest organ of society in this world, granting each of them independence on their own due date. In the case of Southern Cameroon, the date which was fixed by the UN General Assembly was 1st of October 1961.
Okay. Philly, got any last question?
Thank you very much for joining us all the way from Cameroon. It's really a unique pleasure and your age to be fighting to hand over a peaceful Cameroon to us. So my only question to you that I would like you to elaborate is what are the current conditions on the ground in Cameroon with regards to the current killings and the arrest of human rights activist Abdul Karim Ali?
Well, I feel following the research and the United Nations Secretary, all this is actually wrong. And I was pleased that President Biya has stated that he's calling a national conference to look at the problems which are troubling the relationship between the Republic of Ambazonia and Southern Cameroon. I believe they are meeting about now, and it is an opportunity for me to inject my feelings that please be guided by the fact that we live in a global village governed by the rule of law. And the rule of law is that before you have a valid union as a member state of the UN with another territory, you are going to reduce the terms of that union into writing and file a copy of the UN Secretariat. As I mentioned earlier, I have been to the UN to verify in order to take a position with regard to this dispute. There is no such thing there. So what can save the relationship is that President Biya should declare a general amnesty in Cameroon. The way he did when his own life was under threat at the first school, in order to bring peace to the country, he declared a general amnesty to some of the people who were on the opposite side, backing Njoh. He reinstated them in government and that brought peace. And I am appealing to him again that because there is so much confusion.
We're running out of time, so I would like to thank you and say that President Biya calls for national dialogue, but he's not involving the Southern Cameroon in the dialogue. How could it be a national dialogue when there are two countries involved, Southern Cameroon and the Republic? I thought that a national dialogue could be supervised by the world community or the EU. Do you think that is there really a national dialogue to solve? Is it appropriate for a national dialogue to solve a problem between two states to be held in one state?
No, I don't think so. The dialogue can only be useful if he declared first a general amnesty over the people who are fighting and killing each other in Cameroon, so that the people who are free to come together to discuss the problem without first solving the problem of the war raging over there. Nothing useful can be achieved from the so-called national dialogue.
Thank you very much. Tomorrow is 1st of October. That
we can celebrate 1st of October because that was the date fixed by the General Assembly of the UN for the independence of Southern Cameroon. What subsequently transpired between that independent country with La Republic of Cameroon is a matter which causes me considerable anxiety because the whole world must be governed by the rule of law. And when there is no rule of law, everything is chaotic. There will be no constitution governing a country if there is no rule of law. And in this particular case, the rule of law has been put aside by La Republic of Cameroon instead of speaking to us as two nations of equal sovereignty wishing to unite in accordance with prescriptions provided by the United Nations itself. And the law and the prescriptions are the highest authority in the world. Therefore, if a nation like La Republic of Cameroon decides not to observe or to infringe the law, which is in Article 102 of the UN Charter, that if they are getting to be associated with another territory, they should put their intentions in writing. And both parties would sign the agreement and a copy filed at the UN Secretariat in New York. There is no such agreement between Southern Cameroon, which got its independence on 1st of October 1961, and La Republic of Cameroon. So the parties are trying to dribble the best they can to find out a situation where they could live together whilst infringing all the provisions of the law, the governing law of the land about the constitution and the definition of how they could live together prescribed by the UN Charter.
Okay. Philly, got any last question? Thank you very much for joining us all the way from Cameroon. It's really a unique pleasure and your age to be fighting to hand over a peaceful Cameroon to us. So my only question to you that I would like you to elaborate is what are the current conditions on the ground in Cameroon with regards to the current killings and the arrest of human rights activist Abdul Karim Ali?
President has stated that he's calling a national
Republic, I thought that the national dialogue could be supervised by the world community or the AU. Do you think that is that really a national dialogue to solve? Is it appropriate for a national dialogue to solve a problem between two states to be held in one?
No, I don't think so. The dialogue can only be useful if he declared first a general amnesty over the people who are fighting and killing each other in Cameroon, so that the people are free to come together to discuss the problem without first solving the problem of the war raging over there. Nothing useful can be achieved from the so-called national dialogue.
Thank you very much. Tomorrow is 1st of October, which is the restoration, the day that Southern Cameroon got its, supposed to have got its independence in 1961. Do you have any brief message to close off, because we are already out of time?
No, I think I already stated my position on this killing of Southern Cameroonians and their thousands and so on is totally illegal, because it violates the Constitution of the world, which is the Charter of the United Nations. There is no agreement between the parties which President Blair is trying to enforce. And the first thing he should do is to call off the war against Southern Cameroon, so that there is a general amnesty and all Cameroonians are then free to come home and deliberate on having a peaceful resolution of the problem.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I'll hand over to our host to close up, and thank you very much for coming to us from Cameroon.
Yeah, Mr. Litumbe, thank you very much for talking with us and helping us understand this sad situation in Cameroon. And we wish you the very best. And maybe we'll talk to you again sometime.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right. So that's the situation now. Phil, you sent in 2 videos?
Yes, one is actually from the British House of Lords, that they are actually talking about the situation in Cameroon. If you could, maybe John, maybe could you show the one with the graphic that's going on the ground? That one is less than a minute. Maybe you may want your viewers.
These are some violent pictures, people being murdered. And so if you want to protect your little ones, now would be the time to distract them and turn the TV off for a second.
Warning. The following video contains graphic images of torture and summary executions of peaceful protesters in the southern Cameroons, West Africa. Accordingly, viewer discretion is advised.
That's really what is going on in Southern Cameroon. Yes. That's what the army does. They don't have guns. This is civilian. This is the civil rights activist who was arrested, and he's now in jail. I think that's the angel. You can play the other one. Yes. That one has audio. Yes.
My Lord, Cameroon has the hallmarks of the region and world sleepwalking into another humanitarian disaster, even beyond that we are witnessing today. My past visits to Cameroon, my lords, have been to assess the appropriateness of a key agricultural investment in the French-speaking north. I begin with my conclusion and a possible way forward, but not before commending Lord Boateng for securing a debate on this rapidly deteriorating situation and his powerful intervention. It is terrible and so sad that these wounds have resurfaced. But I fear it was always going to be thus, with the exclusion of the English-speaking minority in the affairs of state. The only practical solution, from distance, is a political settlement with either a United Nations or African Union peacekeeping contingent being placed on the ground to enable an immediate cessation of violence, ensuring a humanitarian protective intervention, and a cooling off period to create the conditions to allow an equitable settlement to be hammered out. The Minister may wish to comment on the background of the 6th of November 2018 ruling in favour of the Foreign and Commonwealth Office regarding the legality of the original plebiscite. November the 6th this year, my lords. I do wonder if the right question was before the court. I will refer to the Cairo Declaration and the subsequent constitutive act of the African Union. What was always and still is envisaged as an acceptable solution to the English language-speaking people of Cameroon was a choice of a federation made up of two states with equal status. My lords, I'm not critical of London in isolation. The Quai d'Orsay possibly pressed what it considered to be an advantage by not containing this key option in restricting the alternatives to a choice between Nigeria or French Cameroon. Importantly, the 1964 Cairo Declaration on African Borders, reaffirmed in Article 4B of the Constitutive Act of the African Union, however, and signed off by the President of Cameroon, makes clear that demarcation of the territory of each African state is recognized as being such on the date of its independence. Does the United Kingdom government accept this to be the case? Or not? Has there been subsequent declarations that nullify these issues on borders? If not, it would follow that French Cameroon and Ambazonia are both able to assert territorial integrity. At no time before or after its independence from France was the Southern Cameroons part of that country known by its French name and style as La République du Cameroon. The question of the legitimacy of territorial integrity superseding that of self-determination would not be relevant in this instance. An international boundary separating French Cameroon from the Southern Cameroons existed, affirmed in the Anglo-French Boundary Treaty of 1916 and confirmed in 1931. And if that be the case, would it not follow that the territory of the Southern Cameroonians be recognized sitting alongside that of French Cameroon? An integral part of a peace formula lies with France, my lords. Given the David and Goliath nature of the situation in Cameroon, I asked the Minister on what occasions has the British Prime Minister or Foreign Secretary brought this up as a matter with the French President or the Quai d'Orsay. On the multilateral front, we should not forget that Cameroon is a Commonwealth member. The Commonwealth must surely now regain some of its focus, with the UK pressing the Commonwealth to serve more of a purpose in Cameroon than just monitoring elections. On a practical and an immediate imperative, my lords, is to effect measures to end the atrocities by the military. What is being done to stem the refugee flows into Nigeria? The halting of the burning down of over 100 towns and villages? The forced displacement of hundreds of thousands of women and children and the elderly into the forests, hills and bushes, and the dislocation of the livelihood of others. Let this debate, my lords, introduced by Lord Boateng, be the catalyst for all sides to sit together before yet another series of continuing calamitous events befalls the world.
We all want tears and things like that, but I think to George's point, it also adds an economic benefit to the city of Lowell. That I would say that what Citylive show is doing now is taking Lowell to the international community, and that brings internationals to students to enroll, and that the international student come into money, right, to also grant the pay for tuition as an international student and also pay for apartments, so that money stays in Lowell. And as well as they're doing, they're also changing their cultures and bringing knowledge to Lowell. So George brought a very economic aspect of it that people may not see. And what Citylive show is doing is taking Lowell through this show to the international community. We just got a call in from Cameroon that is Lowell going international.
I have to take a break, but I want to wrap up because True has to go to work. I wanted to ask quickly, apparently the Ambazonia, the Anglophone part of Cameroon has its own cryptocurrency, is that right?
Well, that's it's actually in the making, but not, when we are preparing to become a full state, leaders are preparing and working very hard to see that if tomorrow comes, we become a state, we should be ready to go.
Okay, sounds good.
So if I can just thank everybody. John, I would like also to take this opportunity to thank the panel and thank Citylive show for actually reaching out to Cameroon and sharing our pain. And I would also say that tomorrow is October 1st. In 1961, that's when Southern Cameroon got its independence. And from October 1st, 1961 to 1972, Southern Cameroon was the only democratic country in Africa. It had three prime ministers, Dr. Endele, Dr. John Ngofrontia, Premier Njoh, and Premier St. Mona. The French Cameroon till today, they had only two. So that shows the difference in the system. And as we pause to celebrate tomorrow, 1st of October, I would like us just to take 30 seconds to remember the lives that have really been lost in Southern Cameroon for freedom.
Hail this land of glory, we the Ambazonia, pledge our loyalty. Praise to our Savior who granted us the freedom. Our legends to the hero who fought along we gather. Glory to glory, we rise and never to fall. Here in a nation, flowing rivers and holy. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty in our need, and your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of His name.